Today I'm going to be talking about how to make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 making money flipping real estate contracts.
Household easy, we close fast and anytime that works for you.
Welcome back. My name's Mike Slane, the discount property investor, and today I'm going to be talking about how to make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 making money flipping real estate contracts. So in this video, we're going to dive right in and we're going to talk about how you can make money flipping real estate contract. It's become extremely popular and it's a very simple concept. So let's describe that simple concept right now. I'm going to go over to my screen here. Okay, so over here I can write on the wall and I can kind of show you exactly what we are talking about. Flipping contracts to make big chunk of change. So first we're going to have a house over here and we're going to call that our AB house. So this AB house, we're going to buy it or we're going to put it under contract for, let's use easy numbers here. We'll put it under contract for $50,000. Okay, so I put my AB contract on that property for $50,000. So I'm going to buy that house. I'm acting as the buyer, and we're going to our effort is to make a profit without actually having to close on it. That's what our goal is in flipping the contracts without actually coming out of pocket. So we've done some marketing, we found this great property, needs a little bit of work, the seller just needs to get rid of it. So once I've got it under contract, I've got an equitable interest in that property, and that's very important, is that you have an equitable interest in that property, meaning you've got it under contract and you plan to execute on that contract, which is what we do. So we buy flips, we buy rentals, and we plan to buy the house once we enter into a contract with someone. Next step, if we're trying to flip the contract though to make that quick cash instead of the slower rental money, bigger, slower flip money, we would start marketing the property as it is. And I'm going to call this kind of the BC or the BC contract. So I've got an AB on the house, same house, so we'll draw it in blue again, but then we will make it a different color here. We'll call this the BC side. So we marketed, found ourselves a buyer, our AB side. Over here, we've marketed and found a cash buyer, someone who wants to be a rental investor as well, or is a rental investor who has the cash to close on this property. And we'll say we marketed at $75,000, but they offered us $65,000 for the house. And you're saying, well, shoot, why would somebody pay $65,000 for the house they could have got for $50,000? Well, that house isn't out there just jumping around saying, hey, buy me for 50 grand. The seller's wanting the most they can get, and they're not really marketing it. Oftentimes, it's a distressed seller or distressed property, so they don't really have the ability to get the most for it. They just need to move it quickly. So, again, we've got it under contract for 50. We're planning on buying it. We said, hey, we would sell it for 75. We make a quick 25 today. Somebody says, well, I'll give you 65. We say, that works. Why would this happen? Again, because this house, when it's all fixed up, say it needs $50,000 in repairs, is probably worth $150,000 at the end of the day. Okay? So, again, but it needs that $50K in repairs. This person isn't able to do it, the owner of the AB. So they sell it over here to the BC. Now you're saying, okay, so we've got our AB at 50, we got our BC at 65. Well, how do you get that 15,000? You're going to take it to a title company, and the title company is going to do one of two things depending on how you instruct them. You can either do a double close, and that is when you would actually physically take title and pay 50,000, and then actually sell your title and your interest for 65,000. So you're going to do two signings or a double close. And the difference is that 15,000, right? So the problem with this 15,000 is you don't get the whole 15,000. So what happens when you do a closing, it's probably going to cost you a few $100s on both sides, plus the insurance, plus everything else. You're probably going to walk with maybe 13K is what you're going to walk with. The other option is to do an assignment, and that is where you, and let's just say you're the B, you physically step out of this contract, and instead of actually bringing both contracts, so we've got an AB and a BC, we would say, let's just introduce the buyer and the seller. Kind of. You would take this contract. I like to get a BC contract so I know my buyer's committed. And then I'd say, hey, instead of doing this double closing, can I just assign the contract to you, save us all a little bit of money? So then you would assign your interest. You're going to assign the AB contract to this buyer. And you're going to assign the contract, instead of for $65,000, which is what they're agreeing to pay for the property, for $15,000. So then this buyer is going to bring in their $65,000. They're going to pay you the $15,000. Oops, that's not working. Pay you the $15,000. That's a big win. And then they're going to pay $50,000 for the house. So everybody wins. So the original buyer got their $50,000. You get the $15,000. Create a win-win situation. Let's go back to the desk. All right, so that is how you can flip real estate contracts to make money. In that example, we talked about $15,000 being the profit that you actually receive. It can be any number. Again, 5, 10, 15, whatever the property is worth, essentially, to another person. That's what makes real estate so magical, is there are different views and people can accomplish certain things differently, meaning it may take me and my crew $10,000 to turn over a rental property, and that's because we've got scales and the right people for the right job. We come in and do it quickly, whereas it might take someone who just has a few rentals, it might take them $20,000 to turn over a rental property. So I would be willing to pay a little bit more, and I can still get the same number, the same value at the end of the day. That's how you make money flipping real estate contracts. If you have more questions like this, please like, share, subscribe, and ask questions in the section below. Thanks.
Are you curious about an offer on your property? If you hearing this, call the number and